and we're focusing on funding, flexibility, and infrastructure. By building on what we did last year, we've already seen results in our schools from the $735 million that we've spent since 2011 in new dollars investing in education. We're now seeing the highest graduation rates in the country. We're seeing, I believe, the second highest ACT scores in the country. We are very excited about that, and so we'd like the Education Chair, Representative Rogers, to talk a little bit about the package that of issues we're addressing this year.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Representative Rogers.
I'm pretty excited about the education package we're rolling out this year. Last night we passed out of Education Committee the SSA number of $32 million going into our school funding. Like the Speaker said, we've done a lot of listening to people. We've done a lot of listening to parents and teachers and superintendents and school board members in rural and urban districts. And I've even spent a lot of time talking to the DOE. And so we are in the process of listening to all these people, and that has influenced the package that we are putting together this year. A lot of times what I hear from the opposition is when we go into talking about education that the Republicans are responsible for, they talk about teacher layoffs, they talk about increased class size, they talk about no new money for textbooks in the classroom. The facts are totally opposite. Here are the facts. There are, since the Republicans have been in the majority, when I came in 2011, there are now 2,363, that'd be 2,363 more full-time teachers in the state of Iowa. Student to teacher class ratio is now lower at 13.5. Funding increases have resulted in $1,000 more per student, $1,000 more per student in the state of Iowa. That's $25,000 per classroom that goes to textbooks and all those things for schools. So we are excited about what we've done the past 8 years for education. We want to continue to listen to the people that are involved in education across the state. Our package will also include not only the $32 million that we put out last night, but another $10 million for transportation costs to the most needy districts across the state who are struggling with transportation, especially in the rural areas across the state. We are also looking at more flexibility. We did some revolutionary ideas in the area of flexibility last year. We're going to continue on this. We're going to look at some of the things in our at-risk prevention category. We're going to look at the category of the early intervention block, which is something that the governor talked about. We're going to make those dollars more flexible. We're also in the process of working with the Department of Education to rewrite some of their rules in the post-home rule era that we've talked about. We passed home rule last year, and that means we want more decisions happening at the local level. So we want the Department of Education to recognize that. We're excited about that. We also want to very intentionally look at look at the 1 cent infrastructure penny that goes across the state to help schools in their infrastructure needs. And I want to introduce the Representative Hinson, who has worked pretty heavily on this bill, and I want her to talk about the SAVE bill that we have that we're looking at.
All right, thank you, Representative Rogers. And I just want to go back to what the Speaker said to kick things off here. We have really been listening to parents, teachers, school board members, and superintendents. Many of them were here this week giving us their feedback on this bill, but this has been a long process. We've been working on what we're going to unroll. With SAVE, it's about that flexibility, but it's also about long-term predictability for our schools and giving them the resources that they need to build safe classrooms for our students, modern classrooms for our students. And so we are looking at the extension of that 1 cent sales tax that has had support across the state of Iowa for years. And so we're looking at what those dollars are being used for. Again, primarily we want them to go to classrooms and learning. And we are also focusing on property tax relief as an element of that. We're always concerned about the property taxpayer and what their role is in funding these priorities of Iowans. And so we are also efforting to make some changes there that could provide some additional property tax relief long term. We are also having conversations about athletic complexes and the roles that those have as far as SAVE dollars are used going forward. So that has been something we continue to talk with members of our caucus about, and we continue to talk with our superintendents and our school boards about going forward. But we are looking at all of those options, and we have a bill in drafting right now, and we are excited about the opportunities that will exist going forward for our schools with that long-term predictability in that funding stream. And that's about all I have to say about that, but I'd like to ask Speaker Meyer to come back up.
Sure.
Thanks.
So I think we've handed out some of these statistics. We've talked about them a lot, but you have them before you as well. So to kind of finish up on that, and I think you can clearly see that we're continuing what we built on, what we began last year. Our commitment to K-12 is solid. When it came to budget adjustments each year, we made sure that we were holding harmless K-12 education, and in fact, we've added new dollars. It's almost 45% of our budget today. It exceeds $3.2 billion annually. And as we said before, once this SSA is added in, we will have $765 million in new dollars going to K-12 education since 2011. We're really proud of our track record, and I think it's really an exemplary example of how committed we are to education.